Hi, my name's Charlie. I'm going to be a rising junior next year at Junior Sarah, and for my project I'm building a drum sequencer, and this is my first milestone. So this is the first box out of 2, and what it's going to do is control the sound. So these buttons all have different functions, the knobs. So there's 6 mounts, 6 LEDs, a rotary switch, 2 potentiometers, and then 5 momentary push buttons and an arcade button. Looks kind of cool, just like one player button. And then the first thing I started to do is I obviously drilled all the holes, measured everything, and then I moved on to the back. And before moving on to the PCB and the breadboarding, I wired the ground wires and the 5-volt wires, just because it would be cleaner and easier to manage. So I have wires going from the female ends of the LEDs, all connected to each other. I have the positive ends of the LEDs connected to the mono mounts, so whenever you put a signal through it, it will flash. That will look pretty cool. And then I have the 5-volt wire going from the push buttons into the potentiometers. And the biggest problem I had probably was when dealing with the arcade button, it just wouldn't do what I wanted it to do with the code. And for a minute, I thought the best way to go about troubleshooting it was to take a step back and to just run a simple LED blank code. So, and that would also be helpful because it would determine if it's a hardware issue or a firmware issue. So I ran the code, nothing was happening. So I decided to get a multimeter and see if there was any current coming out of the pin from the breadboard, and nothing was coming out. So I went back, looked at the code, and I realized from the Arduino schematic that it was a different pin out. So I just simply moved A6 to A4, and there was current and it works. And now when I plug in 12 volts into it, whenever you click bank, the LED will turn on and off. It's pretty neat. Kind of a good indicator that everything's working smoothly. And so, after I knew that was working, I moved on to the PCB board, and so now it's all set up. And so the final step for this box is just going to be putting it in the enclosure, and then moving on to my second box, and then when they run in pair, you could be able to make some cool beats. And then for some future modifications, I could maybe Euro rack this, meaning you could put it up and run the clock signal differently. And I didn't actually explain this, but this is so that you can plug it into a synthesizer and you can kind of run it in the same time, which is pretty neat. And that's my first milestone.